Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Ari Talks About Music. I'm Ari, and today it is time for a review of the new Poppy album, Empty Hands. Here we have the seventh album from the American singer Poppy, who I think over the years has had one of the most fascinating evolutions throughout her creative output. Having started off just as a YouTuber making really silly and quirky videos that did manage to gain quite a large cult following. But then after doing that, she got more into making music, with her 2017 debut Poppy Computer being kind of the music version of the kind of videos she was making at the time. Again, just being that kind of strange, quirky, internet core electronic style. And in the coming years after that album, she would continue making that kind of music before ultimately going through a bit of an experimental phase afterwards. But the album that really did bring my attention to her was in 2024 collaborating with producer Jordan Fish on Negative Spaces, which saw her taking a full-blown alternative metal direction, which is something that was very briefly teased on a couple of other songs on previous albums, but this is the first time that she really went for it, and I genuinely think that it's her best album to date. And now on Empty Hands, once again, she is collaborating with producer Jordan Fish, and continuing a lot of the same themes, styles, and sounds that were present on Negative Spaces too. On the whole, I find this album to overall have much harsher vocals and more chugging riffs that gives it a more metalcore leaning sound, which was definitely there on Negative Spaces too, but I think she's just leaning more into it on Empty Hands. I think the album actually starts really strong with the song Public Domain. This one isn't particularly heavy or aggressive in the same way that a lot of the other tracks are going to be, but what this song does let you know right from the very start is that this album is going to be loud. And then as the song continues to progress, it does become a lot more aggressive and energetic as well. And then also delivering an absolutely fantastic outro with this almost kind of dreamy guitar solo. And the entire end of the song does just feel very epic and spacious. And then going into Bruised Sky, this song does absolutely go for it right from the very beginning with this absolutely amazing chugging guitar riff. And Poppy's vocals too, I think, are absolutely on point, both in the moments where she's absolutely screaming and also in the chorus where she takes a more melodic approach, and leaving the guitars to do most of the heavy lifting for the song's aggression. And then after that, you have the song Guardian, which sort of attempts to continue to carry on that theme. However, I think that this song does kind of fall flat compared to how good the two opening songs were, as this one does just feel like a very generic metalcore track, which I think does start to highlight an issue I have with the album as a whole, which is that as much as I do overall enjoy it, I think that the direction she's taking by continuing to collaborate with Jordan Fish is somewhat of a hindrance to her, as she clearly has the want and the capability to make a more intense metal album. But I think that songs like this one show her taking a bit more of that radio-friendly metal kind of style. And I think that because of the song's complete lack of heaviness, it does feel like it really is completely falling flat, as it kind of tries to be more atmospheric with its slightly softer approach to both the vocals and the guitar, which I think that for the style it's trying to pull off being more of a metalcore leaning track just doesn't really work at all. Luckily after that you have Unravel, which does stray away from that style quite a bit, still having this big emphasis on the atmosphere being a very big part of it, but without sacrificing any of the heaviness at all. I think that the verses being a lot more simple and stripped back works really well for how amazing the chorus sounds right after that, with some of the heaviest guitar playing and some of the best screaming vocal performances that the album has to offer. I love how much of a punk energy Dying to Forget has. Also, I think having some of the best guitar playing and vocal performances yet. I think there is so much passion in this song, and especially considering the style it takes on, it's actually quite an impressive length. But despite how consistently energetic it is, it never feels like a problem, with each moment on this song feeling important to its progression, just with how unhinged every part is from start to finish. I think that Time Will Tell opens with an absolutely amazing guitar riff that really gets you hyped for the song, which is kind of why I find the rest of it to actually be quite disappointing, as despite how strong the opening of this track is, the rest of it is actually really uninteresting and very generic. Again, just being that very kind of safe and almost radio-friendly metalcore sound that a handful of songs on this album do unfortunately have. I think that Poppy does still give an impressive vocal performance on this track, but outside of that there really is nothing that makes it hugely interesting. Eat the Hate is another one that I think brings an absolutely fantastic punk vibe to the table, and I love how short and punchy this one is, being a very typical song of its style. And despite how how full on and energetic it is for the whole thing, because it's over so quickly, it still works really well. And I think that the energy on this track is definitely one of the best on the album. The metal vibes do take a bit more of a backseat on the weight, still having short bursts every now and then where it does kind of go for it for just a few seconds, but ultimately this song takes a much more chill and laid back direction, which unfortunately I think ends up making it actually quite a forgettable song. Despite it being very different from a lot of what the rest of the album sounds like, it doesn't actually have really that many defining features that make it particularly memorable at all. I do love how If We're Following the Light does feel like a real slow burner, still having lots of absolutely fantastic aggression, but with a much bigger emphasis on the tension and the atmosphere, which is why this song I think has one of the absolute best outros on the album, with the soaring guitars and absolutely anthemic vocals feeling all the more epic after the entire rest of the song has been building up to it the whole time. Ribs is a song that I really just don't fully understand at all, as there's an attempt to pull off a much softer vocal style with the rest of the guitars and everything still really going for it, which is a contrast that can work, but on this particular song I just really don't think it does at all, and just ends up making it a very underwhelming experience, as specifically the style of metalcore that's trying to be pulled off just doesn't suit this vocal style at all. And after that, the title track I think is just one of, if not the most unhinged song on the album, which as an album closer is a strange choice, I do think, especially after such a soft song before it. But other than this song's placement on the album, I have absolutely no complaints, with this track featuring some of the heaviest riffs in Poppy's discography. Not only just the sheer aggression that the guitars are being played with, but just how interesting and fresh it does feel in every moment as well. Not to mention how insane Poppy's vocals are on the song as well. I think that this song features some of her best vocal performances ever, as she just does not hold back in any moment at all. And I think that all of that together makes this particular song one of the most insane Poppy tracks to experience. And so as much as this album does still have a hell of a lot of absolutely fantastic highlights, I can't help but notice so many more of the generic moments as well. And it does highlight how I think that continuing to collaborate with Jordan Fish in the future is probably not the best idea. He was definitely fantastic as a producer on Negative Spaces to kind of help Poppy get into the metal sound, but I think that at this point she's already established herself as someone who can make metal music and doesn't really need him to prove that anymore. And I think that it is very evident how at this point he's kind of just holding her back from doing what she clearly wants and is capable of doing, which is hopefully the kind of direction that we can see her taking on whatever she does next. And so that is why I'll be giving this album a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this review. Please be sure to listen to this album yourself and tell me your thoughts below. Please leave a like if you liked the video, and please leave a dislike if you didn't like the video, and remember, stay hydrated.